All right, guys, I've talked about this a little bit here recently, but I figure it's time to talk about this again. I'll take you and show you through sort of what I've done to work through and to find players to bring in on trial. And the reason why we want to learn how to do this, by the way, is because sometimes you can get some players in on trial who you can't find otherwise, who end up worth a lot of money. Tom Dreyer worth almost $4.3 million, and he's wanted by a team for loan. Here's Nikoka worth $1.9 million. We have Azriel Davis worth 6 to 9 million euros. These are all players that we got in on free transfers that cost us nothing to go out and research, right? So you want to kind of know how to do this. Is one of the tricks that occurs within Football Manager. One of the cool things you can do. I go to scouting and then I go to players and players in range. Now, there are different ways you can look at this if you really want. Like, there's, you can look at players, as I'm doing right now, that show up as interested in transfer. You don't necessarily have to do that, though. You can take that off, and you can look at all players. I'm just going to look at all players, and we're going to look at players. It's actually the same number either way. We're looking only at central defenders because we just got rid of our center back, right? So we're not going to be bombarded with players. We'll just start with that, right? And we'll pick, again, 29. So we look through this. So there's 19. We'll pick 29. And then we're going to offer a trial to all these players. So we will offer a trial to all of them now. As we go through, first of all, there's going to be a whole bunch of noise and a whole bunch of stuff going on. That's because I just had a group of 29 that departed. So we click through continue, and we'll see what comes up next. See, and here we go. Told you, here's all the noise where you have all these guys. Now my spacebar is not working, so I click up there, and now it works. So we can see all these trials are finished. I actually offered contracts to a number of those players. And look, the new ones haven't really come yet. So we look at this. Okay, the A-League kicks off. We're in 11th place. Great, whatever. Okay, they're whatever. We're going to change things up for the under-19s. This we don't necessarily have to do, but this is the one that we do. I'm sorry, for the under-18s. The under-18s, it's not really a team, but we've turned it into a team, and so that's why we're dealing with this. Then you have all of the players come through, and you say, okay, so we go accept all of them. We do have to make sure when we're accepting these trials that we don't accidentally delay a player who's signing for us, because it does come in the in between sometimes if you're not careful. Now, this is something that you can do if you have some time, like in real life, on your hands, and you just want to start sorting through players to see if you can find a bargain. It works actually really well, right? So we just brought 29 players in on loan. They've all said yes. None of them are attached to any clubs at all. These are all unattached players. I'll go back and show that to you again. These are all unattached players. So we go back over to scouting. We go to scouted players. Again, this is how we found it. And it's going to take a while for it to pop up. Here we go. When we look at our search, I'm sorry, these are scouted players. That's the wrong thing. Players in range is what I wanted. We go over to edit our search. You can see it's 15 to 19, contract status unattached, and then they're all central defenders, right? That's all we've looked at, right? So we get a whole bunch of these emails in. There are two ways now that we can look at this. We can look at it that way, or we can look at it this way. We can go over to our filter, and we're going to filter out players on long-term deals. These are all of the guys that we brought in. You'll notice here that there's no personality listed for any of these players, right? So we could arrange this by age if we wanted to. There you go. And we can look first at Altsavar and say, okay, well, what does this guy look like? Fairly consistent. He's fairly determined, right? And then you ask yourself, okay, well, his level maybe isn't quite that high, but he's looking okay. That thing is orange. And so we could sign him. Now, you'll notice there, it won't let me sign him until 2024. The reason why is because he is from, where is this guy from? This guy happens to be from Ecuador, and Ecuador is one of those countries where you can't sign a player until he's 18 if you're a foreign team, right? And so it's kind of an issue. It's kind of a problem. He might be good. He might not be good. It's kind of hard to tell. We're going to have to wait like 2 years in game to find out and to see what he's like 2 years down the road. And so there's like a positive and a negative aspect. I mean, what level is our team going to be at that time? Are we really going to want this player or not? Do we bother with that? Do we not? What I've done recently is I focused only on players from EU countries, knowing that I can sign them right away. Every one of these countries is different. So we're not going to sign this guy because he's injury prone, but if we go to sign him, it will say we can't sign him until November 2023. So I am going to create a note and say that he's got injury problems. I'm going to spell it correctly. And so that's sort of the thing that we do. It kind of helps you sort through stuff. So he's got a flag. We know who he is. This guy is from, where is this guy from? Thailand, right? He's also injury prone. If we try to sign him, he would not be able to be signed until, again, next year. So we're not going to sign him. We're going to create another note about him, and we're going to note that he's got an injury problem. Now, that's kind of the issue that you run into here. If you're interested to see sort of where these players are, you can insert a column that will say their nationality. And that will give you sort of an idea. All of these players are from various, almost all of them are from Asian countries. Let's see about this guy. This guy is from from Georgia. If we go to sign him, nope, we have to wait another year to sign him as well. So, I mean, it's not necessarily what we're looking for. If we're trying to sign good players today to help us out right now, we've got to be a little more selective. Here's one, Vetkovich, who is from Russia. If we were to, and we're not going to do it, but if we were to sign him, we could get him immediately. See that right there? We could get him right away. We're not going to do it because he's inconsistent, right? But we could get him right away. So that's like one of the approaches that you can take, and you kind of go through these all at once. Now, the other thing that you'll notice here is that under personality, nothing is listed here, but you can find out what the personality is just by looking at the player. Right, so you can see right away, oh, this guy's balanced. Well, we don't want a guy who's balanced. It's not a great personality. This guy is balanced as well. Or maybe we don't want that. We want somebody with a better personality. You can kind of go through one at a time. Majority of these players are going to be balanced. Most of these guys are not new gens. They're existing players. So there you have it. We're actually not going to sign any of these players. So we'll just go through this and terminate the trials. And I'm going to go back on and probably go back to my European Union players and look at youngsters that way. European Union players, by the way, tend to be worth more money, right? So like, for example, Andre, if you really want to sign a Brazilian, you have to wait until he's 18. So, I mean, maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. Most of these cases actually probably isn't worth it. So anyway, there you go. That's a little bit more into this trick. This is a lot of what I've been doing lately to try to build this squad up. As you saw this morning, it worked actually pretty well. I mean, we were able to win a draw out of a game that we were supposed to lose. So, I mean, it could be a lot worse, right? I think that it's a little bit time consuming, but I do think that this option can help and can work for you, right? You just have to give it a little bit of time and, have a little bit of faith in the system. But I do think that if you give it the right amount of time, you'll end up being just fine. And you can get a pretty good team built up out of players who you otherwise probably wouldn't pay too much attention to. So there you have it. And hope you have a good day. We'll leave it at that. Bye-bye.